what is the biggest problem faced by India today? I would unhesitatingly say decolonization of Indian mind. This has been agitating my mind for quite some years. So I am happy. I am given an opportunity to share a few thoughts. Decolonization is okay. We all understand it. But the problem is, what do we do about it? And unless we find a solution to eradicate the problem, there is no point in talking about it for years together on every platform, ad nauseam. For that, we must first understand how this colonization was done, then automatically we understand how to undo that damage. The problem of colonization, India has been the worst sufferer of foreign domination and invasions for centuries. They made a very good study of the situation. They understood the country very well and came to certain conclusions. They were kidding themselves earlier that India was a poor country, an ignorant country, and they are chosen by God Almighty to liberate all these sinners from these wretched holes. But after coming to India, they realized they were shell-shocked. There was a governor in Madras Presidency, Sir Thomas Munro. He conducted a survey among all the districts of Madras Presidency, which comprises today's South India plus a few states, and they made an exhaustive study of all the schools in their curriculum area. What were the subjects taught? What was the syllabus? What are the working hours? The mode of teaching? The methods of teaching, etc. They realized that India was far, far superior to India, their own country, in the field of education. So, in order to kill India, kill its spirit, they thought the first to be attacked is education, and they have successfully done it. India's greatness, India was the most prosperous country in the world at that time, number one in any respect, and the root cause for India's prosperity was its agriculture, and the base of agriculture is the cow. Therefore, they have devised ways and means to kill the cow. In order to kill Indian agriculture, they have succeeded. Robert Clive has started slaughterhouses in Kolkata. And the third thing was, after doing this, they have brainwashed us, they have made us blind while keeping our eyes open. For that, they took the route of history. History was distorted right, left and center by ignorant fellows, illiterates and idiots and imbeciles called Max Muller, Sir William Jones and etc. How they have done it, the various ways they have adopted to distort history, to kill the truth, to present India in the worst possible colors. That also I think many people about you know. And the much quoted instance feature in that aspect is the celebrated Aryan invasion theory. Aryan invasion theory is also not much of a problem to us, because the whole world has agreed that the so-called Aryan invasion is a myth. There was no Aryan Dravidian problem, and India's Vedic civilization, one of the greatest. When the whole world has accepted it, beyond doubt, if some idiots and uneducated literates in India still if they go about talking about this Aryan Dravidian conflict, I think that also is not much of a serious problem. It is a problem that we can very easily tackle it. But the point is, we always talk about how to set right others, how to decolonize others' minds. But very often we fail to realize that the first and foremost we have to decolonize our own minds. Leftists, other liberals, communists, don't bother about them. You can tell all the arguments in the world, show all the proofs, prove beyond doubt, still they refuse to see reality, that they don't accept. If they don't accept, why are we bothered about those idiots? We don't have to. Point is, we have to bother about ourselves. In what way we ourselves have been brainwashed? If I am to cite a small instance, there is in our own Parivar, Tarun Vijay, a celebrated writer, a great intellectual, my very good friend. Nobody can suspect his intellectual thing or his integrity or his commitment. He is gem of a person. He himself landed himself in an unnecessary controversy a few weeks back by the comments he made in the course of an interview he has given to Al Jazeera TV about the attacks in the context of attacks on African students in Noida. He made some comments that we are not racist. If we are racist, we would not be living with southern Indian people. There are the Andhras, there are Tamilians, there are Kannadigas. They are all black. Why do we live with them? He said. There was all hell broke loose. Everyone was at his throat. Poor fellow, he has apologized. The issue is gone. Why I am mentioning this here is, he is the editor of Panchajanya, our own Rajya Sabha MP. If you rate the finest intellectuals, our warriors, intellectual Kshatriyas, I would rate Tarun Vijay one among them. He himself, in one trace of his mind, he has been influenced in some way or other that there was Dravidians, south and north feeling, Dravidian Aryan thing, that remnant was remaining even in the mind of, even if it is infinitesimally small, that is the problem we have to understand. Okay, that also it's not a problem, we can get over it. Real problems of colonization. Real problem is, there is an extension of this third strategy of putting India, disturbing its mind, making it useless through distortion of history. That distortion of history is continuing. It has not stopped with Aryans or Dravidians. It is a continuous process. Even till date it is going unchecked, and it is the most pollutant factor affecting all our minds. How it is being done? There is a conspiracy behind it. Okay, if Britishers, some fool like Macaulay has done something, he could do it when Indians were subjugated. Now we suppose that we are living in a free country. Britishers have gone with bag and baggage long back. Then what prevents us from setting right that history, make all the corrections and put the true history and make people realize? We are unable to do it. The saddest part is, even today, among all the discourses that are taking place in this great country, there are so many hundreds of channels, hundreds of newspapers, lakhs of intellectuals, and millions of websites, social media. Everyone is talking. We are the biggest talking shop in the world. We all talk, we all discuss. We discuss so many things. But correcting history, knowing the true past of our country, how we do it, it is not in our priority. Just let us make an introspection. What are we talking every day? What is the percentage of time we are giving to this? That is one of the problems. Why history was not done? I can tell you, I have made, I think, though I am not an academician, for your information, I am not even a graduate. I have not seen the inside of a college. That's my biggest strength. I wrote quite many books. I can tell you with confidence and authority, the entire Indian history which you see in all the books in the world, in the India or elsewhere, it is trash. It may look like it's far-fetched statement, but the saddest part is true, because the true history of India is yet to be written. Show me one book, I can tell you 100 shortcomings in it. If Alexander has invaded India in 327 BC and some half-witted intellectual called William Jones has fixed it, even today, the entire Indian historians, even the so-called nationalist historians, bank their history on this fulcrum of 327 BC Alexander's invasion. It is a figment of lies. Great Buddha, Gautama Buddha, everyone knows he was born 5th century BC. 10 years back I have written a book called, somebody mentioned Yavada Charitra, it was translated in Kannada also. He was born 1200 years before that date. Shankara was like that, Gautama Buddha was like that. There are all the proofs, we don't see anything. And we blindly take what these Vincent Smiths and other fools have shown in their English histories, and we follow it. Okay, nothing wrong, nothing really hurting if ancient history, or for that matter medieval history, is not adequately represented, or we do not know much about it. The real tragedy is the modern history, the history of India as we know it, is bullshit. Thing is, I will tell you how. If you ask any intellectual, rightist, so-called left liberal, we call them secular, that pseudo-secular, left liberal, communist characters, if we talk anything before them about history or the country and its greatness, they would first of all question your credentials. They would say, you are an RSS wala. If you are an RSS fellow, automatically you are a traitor. You are traitor to the country because you have not participated. Where were you when this great freedom struggle was being waged? What was your role during freedom struggle? You came in the picture after freedom was won with the blood and toil of millions of people who stood shoulder to shoulder under the great leadership of Mahatma Gandhi, with the stewardship of the great Indian National Congress. For generations we fought. The battles, the sacrifices, they were tremendous. And ultimately, that man with his satyagraha, he could banish the entire Britishers without shedding any blood. He made them run away. We got freedom. You were not there. And you came in the picture to kill that great man. So how all our lives will be utilized, spent, and even if you engage the best lawyers, show the best proofs, you will never convince a leftist liberal idiot that you have not killed Gandhi. And that is the problem. And he has all the righteous indignation. He says in such a manner that most of our karyakartas, even in one corner of their minds, there will be some doubt, there must be something, what do? We were not born at that time. This is decolonization needed. For that, you all understand, this is the first question from Sonia Gandhi to her semi-literate son, to any donkey in that so-called secular parivar. This is the first question you are going to ask. Are we ready with any answer? I will give you an answer. First of all, we should understand the great conspiracy that went behind the so-called transfer of power called Indian independence. There was a great conspiracy and we should have the guts. Now I am going to make some statements because they have been hearing from me and reading all this for many years. They are used to it, but people from other countries, other states, please note that this is not the first time I am saying. I am the editor of a Congress newspaper, where our presiding deity is Sonia Gandhi and her dynasty. I am the chief editor, so I cannot hide behind anybody. Whatever I write, I have to take full responsibility, and I survive at the pleasure of my proprietor. Any moment I can lose my job. And my paper is read by certainly not BJP people and others, mostly Congress, communists and other type. Because our people don't read my paper. They say, anyway I am theirs. They think they don't have to read it. So all my enemies and adversaries read it. I have so far written 15 books on history. I have serialized each one of them in the Sunday magazine of my paper, and it ran for as soon as one serial is over, I will take up another serial. This is my 23rd year as editor. I have completed 17 books. All these statements, as I am going to say, atrocious statements, I have said so in my books. Each book has run into several reprints, made me rich by many lakhs of rupees. And nobody has even till date questioned me or come up with even a resigned, how dare you say that? Okay, that is first of all. I won't give you much details, but only one or two recorded facts of history. There is a biggest doubt which every thinking intellectual has for many years. That is, why did Britishers leave India in 1947? There was absolutely no reason for them to quit the country. There was absolutely no compulsion. All the struggles have long ago gone, but their greatest benefactor, Mr. Mahatma Gandhi, has saw to it that no movement will survive more than a few weeks. As soon as it takes steam, he will kill it. He has done it successfully. So in his entire career, there were three movements. One is called in 1922 non-cooperation movement. When the greatest massacre took place in India in 1917 in Jallianwala Bagh, you know the tragedy. If there is a national leader, anybody worth his salt, that was an occasion for anybody to rise and show their disgust. Tagore has quit his knighthood. Rabindranath Tagore. The great Mahatma Gandhi kept quiet, didn't utter a single word against the Britishers. On the other hand, backed them fully. And in the same another Amritsar Congress, he gave support to Britishers and extended his cooperation. That is one. Subsequently, in order to appease Muslims, he took up Khilafat movement and as an offshoot non-cooperation movement, which took place and ended in less than a year. There was a gap of 10 years. At 1931, he took up Salt Satyagraha. Before it took off, he killed it. Afterwards, there was again a gap of 10 years, and there was the culmination is Quit India movement in 1942. Quit India movement, Gandhi has disowned it, saying that I don't subscribe to all this violence. Jayaprakash Narayan and others tried to do something and they were disowned by Gandhi. Even that has ended by the year 1942. From 1942 to 1947, there was a gap of 5 years. There was no political activity. There was no agitation. There was no big protest or public pressure on Britishers when they were compelled. Already Second World War was over. British people emerged victorious. They are on top of the world. Still they left. Why? This is the question nagging every thinking person. We don't know the truth. Only who can tell the answer? Britishers themselves have to say. Otherwise, nobody. They have to say why they quit the country. They won't say. But fortunately for us, there was an answer. There was one person called Phanibhushan Chakravarti, who was the Chief Justice of Calcutta High Court, and he was acting governor of West Bengal in the year 1956. That is 9 years after the so-called independence. Clement Attlee, the Prime Minister who presided over the division of the country and transfer of power, he was no longer Prime Minister. He visited India on some purpose. He stayed in the Raj Bhavan of Calcutta, and the governor happened to be Phanibhushan Chakravarti. He had occasion to go to him, express his doubt. He asked him straight. He got a straight answer. You want to know the answer? Because that will tell you the whole story. He says, I put it straight to Lord Attlee like this. The Quit India movement of Gandhi practically died out long before 1947. And there was nothing in Indian situation at that time which made it necessary for the British to leave India in a hurry. Why did they then do so? In reply, Attlee cited several reasons, the most important of which were the activities of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, which weakened the very foundation of the attachment of Indian land and naval forces to the British government. Towards the end, I asked Lord Attlee about the extent to which British decision to quit India was influenced by Gandhi's activities. On hearing this question, Attlee's lips widened in a smile of disdain, and he uttered slowly, putting emphasis on each single letter, minimal. The British Prime Minister has confirmed that the influence of Gandhi on freedom was minimal, and they were made to run away because of Subhash Chandra Bose. Do you read about this in any history of India, which is being taught to any student now? And this will be a shocker, because I have not, no one, Mohan Bhagwatji has not given to me, concocted it and given to me in his defense. No. This is, you find on page number 610 of the third volume of History of Freedom Movement in India, which was edited by R.C. Mazumdar. And R.C. Mazumdar is the greatest Indian historian. And I have to tell you one thing about it before R.C. Mazumdar, if you may get a doubt, okay, Attlee is a Britisher, enemy of the country, so naturally your enemy will not accept that Gandhi is the hero. He is too proud to admit that this half-naked fakir was responsible for his Worcester. It is understandable. It is eminently understandable that really Gandhi was the cause of Indian freedom and Attlee was lying. This Chakravarti might be an idiot for all we know. Okay, let us admit. Then, who has to say what was the history of the freedom struggle? What was the role played by Mahatma Gandhi? In what way his Satyagraha helped? Only British government has to say why they quit the country. Independent India's free government has to say what is the history of our own country. We have the great nationalist, the man who knew little about India and yet he wrote a Discovery of India, Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru. Any government, you imagine, 190 years after Britishers have grabbed and emerged victorious in the Battle of Plassey, India became independent. Millions of people have died, lakhs and lakhs have gone to the scaffold, subjected to enormous hardships. At last, when we become and get rid of all these Islamic and colonial hangovers, don't you think it is an occasion for any government to proudly start, because they have been shouting from housetops that Britishers have distorted history, it is all colonial. The first thing we do after coming to power is getting our history books right. Nehru has said this 1,000 times. Okay, now he became Prime Minister. After becoming Prime Minister, and the great Abul Kalam Azad was the Education Minister of India, there was a demand. They themselves, if you have any decency in them, they should have commissioned it themselves. There was then called Indian Commission of Historic Records. That is, then they used to call, now it is Indian Council of Historic Research, then it was Indian Commission of Historic Records. In 1948 February in Jaipur, they have conducted a big meeting, their annual meeting. They made a request to the government of India that it is high time we commissioned the compilation of the history national movement. We will do it. For that, kindly sanction us an amount of 25,000 rupees. They asked. 25,000 rupees to government of India. You know very well, you may say that at that time it may be a princely sum. Even 1 year before, our father of so-called of the nation has insisted on giving 50 crores to government of Pakistan. He said he will not touch, he will die if we don't pay 50 crores outright to Pakistan. For paying Pakistan, 50 crores were available, but you will be surprised, government has given it in writing that due to several financial constraints, they are unable to sanction that amount of 25,000 to get the history of India written. Then there was much furor. At that time, there were stalwarts in opposition, people like Syama Prasad Mukherjee and Lohia, Krupalani, eminent people, Jains were there, and they are not like Lalu Prasad Yadav, who is always afraid of CBI and income tax. They have nothing to hide. They have caught Nehru by the collar, made it an issue. Then the government of India, consciously, in all their wisdom, they made a study and at last appointed an editorial board comprising of 9 eminent historians, entrusted them the job of compiling the history of freedom struggle. And Nilakanta Shastri, S.N. Sen, M. Habib, others, all the veteran scholars, they are stalwarts. And to head that panel, Government of India headed by Nehru and Education Department headed by Abul Kalam Azad have found the most suitable person in their opinion to head that. He is R.C. Mazumdar. Then they appointed. Then R.C. Mazumdar, I think you all can check all this sequence anywhere. It is available. Then I don't have to tell you that the opinion of that man, who was selected by the Nehru government itself to head and do all this 200 years of freedom struggle history, He must be the most suitable historian to say the role about Gandhi and his freedom. Do you agree? Now I will read out the opinion given in writing, which you can be checked on internet also, by R.C. Mazumdar. Gandhi was lacking in both political wisdom and political strategy. Not my words, R.C. Mazumdar's words. And far from being infallible, committed serious blunders, one after another, in pursuit of some utopian ideals and methods which had no basis in reality. It would be a travesty of truth to give him the sole credit for the freedom of India and sheer nonsense to look upon Satyagraha as the unique weapon by which it was achieved. This is the considered opinion of the historian chosen by Government of India. Now you will ask me, if that were so, how is it we do not know about it? It's not there in any official history of freedom struggles documents. You will ask me. The simple reason is, R.C. Mazumdar is like me, a no-nonsense man. He won't spare anybody, he won't looking for anybody's favor. He has prepared a draft seriously. This is the conspiracy. Let me tell you, all these leftist scholars about our role in freedom struggle, go and tell them this. Then, after all this, in 1952, the committee of R.C. Mazumdar and 9 members were appointed. They were given time for up to 1956, 4 years to complete it. R.C. Mazumdar and others have completed one volume. It has already been approved by this 9-member editorial committee, and there was one Srimali who was parliamentary secretary. In Lok Sabha he said, yes, R.C. Mazumdar's committee is working. It has already submitted its first volume draft. Second, they are working. Third one will be released by 1956. It is all there in Lok Sabha records. Subsequently, some tail carrier, some Congress agent had the occasion to go through the contents of the book. What has been approved by all the official historians, they themselves appointed, had no problem. But one Congress chamcha or other had the feeling that if only this book goes out, all hell will break loose, Congress will be in great trouble. So you know what the great Democrat, freedom lover, eminent nationalist called Jawaharlal Nehru did? Quietly disbanded the committee, removed R.C. Mazumdar, disbanded the entire committee, junked both the documents and kept quiet for 1 year, then quietly brought out their own chamcha called Tarachand. Professor Tarachand, he produced 4 volumes of History of Freedom Movement. That is there in every archive. This is how they have, and luckily for us, R.C. Mazumdar has not kept quiet. He was already nearing 80 at that time. Still he went ahead, published his 4 volumes. It is all available on internet. You can buy it. In that, in the 3rd volume, page number 610, this opinion will be there, and it is preface, he mentioned his judgment about Gandhi. So my dear friends, I have, and another thing is, there was what we have to do. Yes, now I am coming, you asked me, is we have to be intellectual kshatriyas. There is nothing for us to feel diffident. We have every weapon in our hands. We belong to a great country which has a great history, of which we have no occasion to feel sorry about any page of that history. It has a glorious history, and if real history was written, you will be proud, and you will shed tears for the great fighter, galaxy of fighters. It's not Congress people, it's not these jokers who brought freedom. There were lakhs of people. For 13 years, the founder of RSM, Dayananda Saraswati, has waged a continuous struggle from 1980 to 1893 in protection of cow. Gorakshani Sabhas were there all over the country. For a movement which went up but in 2 months, you read the whole cinemas being made, enormous volumes to be written, but I don't think you see anywhere except Dharmapal's book, path-breaking book called British Origins of Cow Slaughter in India, the details about that great moment. You don't know. Your history will not tell about the thousands of people who came from America in ships and perished, and they were hanged by the treetops by thousands after First World War, Gadar Revolution. You don't know about Bhagat Singh. You don't know about Alluri Sitaramarazu, the great fighter of Andhra Pradesh. If there is a greatest freedom fighter, it is Alluri Sitaramarazu. For 2 years, he gave a run for the money. For the entire year, British Empire was sweating. He waged a great guerrilla battle. History people will not talk about it. They always glorify Gandhi. They always glorify Nehru. And now we are reduced to the state of glorifying Sonia Gandhi, mentally retarded son, and his girlfriends. That is the tragedy. If you understand the problem, you know how to finish it. Please go ahead. Thank you.